Yo, what's up, guys? Damnation-n-Hellfire here, and tonight we got Toxic,
G'day, how are we all?
we got Shane Howe,
Hello.
we got RB,
Howdy, all.
and some other guy. I don't know who he is.
Good evening. Good evening, everyone.
What's
It's
up, Ross?
the fisherman.
Yeah, just slipped in.
Hole in hand. Hole in hand. Oh, so what's going on, everybody? How's your raid going?
It's a grind. It's definitely a grind. Had really bad lag yesterday. Didn't play much yesterday, but seems to be better today. But yeah, it's heaps of lag. And it's just really grindy. Too many points. Too much stuff in the store. For me. I'll never get everything, but see how many points I can get and then just get the most important things and leave the rest there.
There you go. How many points are you currently at?
Just a little bit over 100 million.
Gotcha. And you've been using what fleet mostly?
Just I've got 4 missiles and 1 scatter, and then sometimes I use 3 missiles and 2 scatters. And it's always like a whole fleet. I can do 3 108s or 3 110s, and that's usually about 6 coins repair, thereabouts. Maybe a little bit more, 6 coins and 2 minutes or 10 minutes or whatnot.
And that's with a monkey, yeah?
With a monkey, yes. Yeah, yep. And I've on my second monkey, and I've got 20 minutes left, so yeah.
Cool.
But yeah, it's
RB, how's your raid going?
It's not too bad, I guess. Still having, exactly the same issues with lag. And interestingly enough, it's not, we all seem to be having lag at the same time. So it's not it's not my computer, it's not my connection, it's, the targets and that sort of thing. But then other times it's performing quite well. I've found that it's running best on Game Room for me at the moment. I usually play on the Kick site, but Game Room seems to be running better at the moment. So, yeah.
Yeah, that is one of those cool things that they have. There's several different ways you can play the game. So if you're having really bad luck on one, try like one of the others.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
How many points are you up to?
210 or something like that. Not around that sort of mark. So using my missiles predominantly. I tried scatters, but I found that missiles are working better for me because the way that the fleet split this time, it's not like you can take so many down at one time unless you stack them up behind an island or something like that, which seems to be the way to do it. So yeah,
cool. Ross, you're at like 50 billion points or something, probably.
Well, no, I'm at 720 million.
Close enough.
Yeah, so I did get a few, but I'm running into I'm using the app from the phone, and I'm having a problem. I got the dog here, but I'm having a problem with I run out of targets a lot. Even on the app, when I go to get 110 or 108s, I am picking up no targets available.
Yeah, you're in a pretty busy sector.
Yeah, no, I totally know, I am. So, but that does affect the grease monkey, So
yeah.
But so that's the only thing I'm running into. For me, really, honestly, the raid has turned into how many grease monkeys I have, and how fast I can auto, because that's the key for me. Actually, it's the only way. I have a scatter fleet, and it's just taking way too much damage without a grease monkey crew on for me to be acceptable. I'm in a situation where I'm away from my main residence, so I'm I am having to auto. I understand that that is my part of my internet connection, but so that's just the shape I'm in.
Yeah, and I mean, I guess too, it's not only, you know, how many grease monkeys you have and how many targets you can find, but also how much corn you're willing to throw at it.
Well, and that is it. You know, this is a doozy. I don't mind, you know, I don't mind the normal amount, but it's I'm taking more than the normal amount because I've already gone through like 7 grease monkeys, and those really just don't, you know, just drop out of the sky. And you know, so that's what I'm looking at. What it's going to take for me to replenish those 7 grease monkeys is almost more than the coin for me.
Yeah.
So, Shane, how's your raid going?
Better than I thought it would be. For somebody coming up to this raid, I didn't have anything. But to those last 2 TLCs that we just had over the last couple of weeks, I got 3 scattergun manicores built and ranked, and with some prepping being done for me by you and RB, I got to do some refits to get the dark wings on after I got them in this raid, and I'm up to 197 million. A lot further than I thought I would be.
And you're doing the S sets with just like 3 boats, right?
Yeah, and the grease monkey.
Right.
The way it worked out was I was able to do a set with those 3 for 5 coin using the grease monkey, but I could do a 108 for 5 coin and 110 for 3 coin. So instead of getting 3.3 million for every 5 coin, I'm getting 10 million for every 8 coin, which, you know, it's not good on the economy for what it is now, but for what I got, I think I'm doing all right.
Yeah, I definitely would agree with that. Me, I'm up to 222 million points. I'm using scatters. Unfortunately, I'm having to drive my scatters. Like, I'm not very happy about having to drive the auto hull to get anything even resembling good performance. And even then, I wouldn't say it was good performance. But yeah, so that's where I'm at. If anybody has a chance, I know Derpy posted a really good video on the page as far as, you know, driving manicores, scatter manicores, and then how he would take like one of his ships out in front to lead to make all the stuff behind him take way less splash damage. So if you're a good driver, that's a technique you might want to try out, because he went from getting like 145 hours. Yeah. I've been up way too long. An hour and 45 minutes of damage and a 108 down. Then he got it down to like 32 minutes by doing that split up. So it's a good strategy if you're a good driver. I'm all thumbs when it comes to driving right now. So it's because I haven't manually driven anything for God knows how long. So it wasn't working for me. But yeah, if you're a good driver, it can definitely work out for you.
Yeah, he does some great videos.
Yeah. So let's talk about some of the prizes. Let's talk about the turrets in particular. So let's first we'll talk about the death side. How great is it that we have a turret that like hardly any specials work on? Like sulfide deployer doesn't work on it because it's a scattergun reload and it's not a scattergun. The missile range extender doesn't work on it because it goes off damage type, not weapon type. So, and damage type is corrosive, so you're not going to be able to extend the range on it. So yeah, I mean, like none of the missile specials work on it. None of the scattergun specials work on it. And it's like, oh gee, thanks for a turret that we can't really buff at all.
Now,
so does that mean it would be best on a gate, perhaps?
It'd be best in your inventory. I know Ross did some testing with them. So Ross, why don't you talk about how good it or how bad it is?
So now is that really the tree on the cryo adder strike, the sulf? It actually is a scattergun.
Well, but we're not talking about that turret. We're talking about the death scythe.
Yeah, that's a nightmare. Okay, so that turret, I have them all. I did put an overload of the Death Sith because I looked at the stats and I thought to myself, oh my gosh, this is a game changer. And by the stats, well, it is, until you read these little, interesting things on it, saying it's a missile type, but scattered, you just went over that. Well, so the specials you might think, or possibly, think that you could add, you can't. And it can be countered by a countermeasure. So it truly can be rendered totally useless. And it doesn't take much to shoot it all down right out of the sky.
Well,
I think,
real quick, and I'll let you get back to it. But real quick, I want to clarify there too. It can be shot down, but you have to use very specific countermeasures to do so. Like the anti-penetrating countermeasures won't shoot it down. You have to use one that actually says countermeasure on it.
right.
So
Correct.
you can carry on. I just want to make that very clear for people, so when they're building their fleets to try to deal with these things, they're not putting foul fours on them and being like, "Why the hell don't this work?"
Right. That will not work. And so it's an odd animal, and that right in itself. But the DOT damage looks huge if it were to land. Now, it's not an accurate weapon, even if you it just doesn't hit very well. Regardless if you have a anti on it or not, this thing is not accurate. And I don't like the turret myself. I don't see it. I didn't see it doing any damage yet, really.
Okay, now let's go to the opposite side of that coin, and let's talk about the cryo adder strike or adder sting or whatever the hell it is. Oh my gosh, I love that turret. I absolutely love that turret.
Yeah, it's a really good one. Real good. We're limited on specials again, but on that one, I think that possibly projectile speed could help. I'm not sure. I just think that the more shots that you get out there, the death by 1,000 cuts plays it in the role. Play the DOT damage over time. I'm understanding that I actually I can't figure that totally out myself, because some people just say there's a problem with the total damage. There's a total DOT allowed. Well, I don't get that yet. I'll figure it out.
Actually, the numbers that are printed on the turret are 100% accurate.
Okay. Well, good. But I know you can get up to you can effectively counter it with the new hull, and so you could sit in fire of that. And so, but any other hull, I don't see it survive.
Now, the new hull would still be taking damage from the dot, though, correct?
It doesn't appear to be.
Well, if it's not, then that means that pass-through is not working. Because with if you get 20 stacks on it, you'll be taking 20 stacks of 360 every 1 second, which works out to be like 7,200 damage per second. And that should definitely be noticeable. So if it's not being noticed, then there's a problem with pass-through right now.
Okay, then there is a problem with pass-through.
I know, and I'm not afraid to put my builds out there that I do for stuff. I know right now on my adder strike turrets, I'm putting caustic catalyst. That's the one that gives you multi-shot and extra damage, and then I'm using sulfire deployer, which gives you the reload and splash. And then my third one, I'm actually using actually pinch resist panels, because since EMP modules are becoming such a thing in the game right now, having pinch resistance on them, I think, is a big deal in my opinion.
Yeah, I like that choice also. I went with the same, however, instead of the pinch, I went with the fuel tank. Now, I know that it doesn't going to produce the explosive damage buff, but I was interested in possibly 80% splash. So that was my thought on that.
Yeah, I guess my thought of why I went with pinch over top of that is like, well, it doesn't matter what all other specials on it. If it's pinched for 12 seconds while EMP blasts are going off, it's not doing anything.
Right. No, you're right.
So like you can also do like that one gives it, I think it's 61.9% if you have it retroed to R5, and you can also do the same with the lead panels because that gives it radioactive resistance and pinch resistance. I mean, it's a 12% more power consumed, but that's also an option to get your the anti-pinch up there pretty high. I just know, like in base hits, I've seen with the people that have those EMP modules on them. There's just like stun, and your base just sits there and does nothing unless you can get it out of stun. So yeah, but by far, in my opinion, the cryo adder strike is definitely the best turret out of our options. Have you seen anything with the Drax Scattergun 2 yet?
Oh my gosh! Now that's the one I really like. In all honesty, I love that one. It's a stop sign. It is a stop sign until it's gone. Even with the new hull, as far as I can tell, you must kill to pass. So used in the right situation, it's a great turret.
I mean, I would think for sure that like placement will be the key on that.
Definitely, because there's splash. These fleets out here, some of these are just splashing everything out. So it's all going to be placement and survivability.
Well, yeah, it's not even. I was going to say it's not even just the splash, but like unless you give it the range buff, the turret itself only has like a 105, right?
Yes. No, it does not have a range on it, but it just like I was meaning, it's just a stop sign to me. And in today's game, stop signs are meaningful.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. You may be pirates, but that will be one stop sign you probably will obey.
Right.
I don't know. What the rest of you guys have any input on these? You've been kind of quiet.
I'm
glad I got the
back
right
into
specials.
learning, so.
Sorry, Shane.
Oh no, I'm just coming back, so I don't have a lot to say on them. I'm still trying to wrap my mind around all this. Everything's going together that I missed out on so far.
RB, what were you going to say?
I was going to say I'm glad I picked the right specials then, but they're good points of why you've both done what you've done. So that's good advice. It's going to be interesting to see the new base designs that people come out with to take advantage of these. I'm personally holding back a bit because while I can get all these turrets, there's going to have to be something that's going to counteract this. So I'm not going to go too deep into it until I need to, if that makes sense.
Yeah, because we know at some point, whether it's in the FM or whether it's not till bounty or whatever, but we know at some point we'll be seeing corrosive armor. So,
yeah, definitely.
I mean, they're going to have to give us something better than the U armor that we currently have because with the numbers we're looking at now, 64K is like nothing.
Yeah.
And
if they don't, we go back to the pendulum swing going back the other way, and then. That's what we need to try and stop is that's the swing's okay, just not so massive one way or the other.
I think if they maintain a reasonable balance, if they go between let
me interrupt you for just 1 second. Think about that sentence you just said.
I know it's horrible. I know, but it's not a hard thing to figure out. Honest, if you take it so you can mitigate the death Sith, right? But you cannot take out the total of the Draconian scatter, so it still remains a stop sign. You still have a game.
Yeah, I agree. It'll be interesting to see if we get armors in bounty or not, or I mean in the FM or not, because if we don't, boy, it's going to be an interesting bounty.
Well, let's be honest. It won't be a bounty, right? I mean,
well, it'll be a bounty for those, you know, so 75 players or whatever that coin up all 3 witch doctors who will be able to get in bases that have all these new corrosive turrets in them. But everybody else will just be like, well, what the hell am I supposed to do? So since we're on the topic of tokens or the turrets, let's talk about the turret tokens. Have you guys bought any of them?
No, and
Not
not
yet.
either.
No.
Oh, well, not while you can get base parts. I don't care whether the turrets are in today, tomorrow, or next week. But yeah, nah, no way. That's where the buck stops.
Yeah, I haven't bought any of the tokens whatsoever. In my opinion, they're too many points. I might have been a little bit more willing to swallow how many points they were if there wasn't so freaking many of them and so many new turrets all at the same time. I think that was one thing they didn't really stop and think about when they put all this stuff in this raid. It's like, oh my gosh, look at what the total amount of points people are going to need to. If we're inundating this much stuff in all at one time, maybe we need to make some of these prices a little bit cheaper.
Yeah, however, like, I completely agree, but weren't you working out last night that, you know, given that it's 7 days, and how did you work it out? So 7 days, and it was 4 million a day, and
yeah, the way I worked it out is like build tokens for the boats are 4 million for a day, so 7 days for a structure build token would come in at 28 million. And yes, that would be true. And like I said, if there wasn't so many of them, I might be more willing to swallow it. But when it's like, okay, here's like, you know, 1 billion turrets that you have to get, and then here's 1 billion tokens to go with those turrets, it's like it's just too much.
Yeah, for sure.
I know I currently have 4 of the cryos in my base, and I did not use a single token to do it. I stripped everything, all my turrets down before the raid started, put the specials on that I knew I was going to want on them, and then by using base parts that I made sure that were full before the raid, and by doing expeditions. And I did have a 1-day structure build token left over that I used for one of them. But yeah, I managed to get 4 of the cryos in my base at this point.
Yeah, it's a good effort because usually you can't be asked to do that. So I was surprised. It was almost like a different person.
Yeah, well, I saw that turret and I thought it was really cool, and I was like, so I made sure I was in a position where I could actually get it in there. But I don't know what else you guys want to talk about.
I put all the turrets in. Ooh. Matter of fact, I had to change one twice because I didn't like it.
What ratio did you end up going? Like how many of each one?
I ended up with 3 of the Adder Strike 2s. I went with 3 Death Siths and 2 Draconian Scatters.
Repeat after me. Death Scythe.
Death Scythe.
There you go.
Okay, the Death Scythe, and I prefer I do not prefer that. However, with my base design, it serves a purpose with its range. I'm looking at it really, in my opinion, will be useful at stopping the sloth attacks. How the old mortars used to stop the sloths, and then now they're able to mitigate that with the armors. But this one here, they're going to have to put a counter on the sloth or just get hit.
Yeah, I know No Phobos was for the Death Side was asking if you tried to use any specials with accuracy, but there's actually there's a lot of debate going on right now whether accuracy specials on turrets actually even work or
not. I did not try an accuracy on it, but I know it's horrible, and so it doesn't hit at all. I mean, I don't know. It's hard to tell because on the one that I viewed that I thought it was landing, the base test that I did, it was against the new hull, and it was not picking up any damage at all. And so that it's either the over damage is not correct or something's not working. So
we have like if over damage isn't working and you can't see any visible ticks from the dots, I'll definitely be passing that up, because if that's the case, then that turret ends up sucking instead of being really, really good.
exactly.
But it is damaging slots.
Oh, it'll wipe you out if it were to hit a hull that's not the witch thing, you know. But yeah, if it can hit you,
Okay.
I mean, it will hit you eventually, but it just doesn't seem very accurate.
Sure.
So I know between the five of us, we're only in two different worlds, but how much have you guys seen much sniping?
I've watched the soap operas on comms. There's been a lot of activity. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, I have to agree with that. It's comms where I see it. I was, well, I am lucky enough not to have been sniped, so which is good. Doesn't do anyone any favors.
No, that makes it rough on everybody. There's only one winner in that situation. That's the game. But I've been going off the app, so I don't really get to participate in that much in this event, thankfully.
I know. I'm going to say one thing, and this is probably the last that, honestly, this is the last I really ever want to talk about sniping on the show. I mean, I don't know if it'll end up being that way, but, you know, the more sniping gets talked about, the more it ends up happening. Your best bet when it comes to dealing with snipers, just fucking ignore them. Because the more you feed the trolls, the more the troll is going to come and haunt you.
Definitely.
I think that's one of the reasons we've seen such an increase in sniping activity lately, is because it's been talked about a lot, and then it makes people like, oh yeah, I can go snipe, or, you know, it just feeds into those trolls' egos. So you're better off not even just talking about it. If you take a lump, just take your lump and move on.
And also the stage increased now that we have the world chat, so you have that goes into play also. You know?
Definitely. Yeah.
Right. So that, you know, that stage did increase for them, so they're able to get those, you know, the reactions that they want.
It's not just the reactions. It's I don't mind if you snipe my base hitting fleet, but if you snipe some lower levels or medium levels, your fleet or his rage fleet, well, the poor guy's going to be out unless he coins, and that's not right. So, yeah, but I'll leave it at that. I don't agree with it.
So what else do you guys want to talk about? We still got like a good 30 minutes yet. So I've covered my topics. Now it's your guys' turn to bring up a topic.
I just rode a grease monkey.
No, really?
Yeah.
I missed the Man of Wars. I miss being able to earn uranium during the raid.
Yeah, as opposed to having to spend freaking raid points on them.
A gazillion raid points for a little bitty piss payout of uranium, yeah.
Really, you can't do anything with it. I mean, I don't think it's...
Yeah, I'm going to go in there and roll 2,000 uranium for my 300,000 points. You know, I mean, that's 2,000 a pop, 10,000 a pop. I mean, that ain't dick for, you know, especially for rolling crews.
I agree.
Yeah, and it's pretty much actually all of those things, like titanium and base parts. And base parts isn't quite as bad. Yeah, base parts is a pain in the ass as well, but it's not quite as bad, because at least the expeditions for base parts gives you an okay payout.
Yeah, it's become half decent. That has the base parts expedition. I've just recently started using it, and it's handy now. I mean, it's a lot better than what it was when it first came out.
Yeah.
Cuttlefish in chat says 8 Howies. What do you think?
I think it's a, death by 1,000 cuts. I think it's a good idea.
If I was going to spend raid points to get more Howies, I doubt I'm going to, because I have so many things I want to get in this raid that the 4 more Howies isn't even on that radar anywhere. But yeah, I would probably get at least 2 more to replace my blunderbusses, probably. For some reason, I like the javelins, even though they don't do nothing. I don't think really. I still like them.
I've watched a few base hits where those javies positioned right, just pop them sloths away. Just get rid of them.
I just
pretty nifty weapon.
I really am concerned with the, an OP change and a turret amount change. And who knows what changed. And so I'm just trying to grab up everything I can. The howitzer, the Howie fires faster than most, and it's got a decent range. So if you're really trying to kill by a death by 1,000 cuts, that's your go-to for me.
Now there are, and it depends on what you're getting hit with, because obviously 9 times out of 10, the MSC is not going to have its penetrating deflection broken. That's just going to be taking minimum damage. But there are several hulls out there that, unless they really stack for missiles, that you can break deflection with the missiles. So it depends on what you're getting hit by. But thank God we have base parts and we can make adjustments on the fly,
Yeah, I mean, I quite like the flogs. I really do. They're a cool little turret. You got to just position them right.
Yeah, that one can hurt too.
And then that drag one, I can't wait to get that one.
Yeah, wasn't your flog like the only turret that dealt any damage to Padre when he came and hit you?
Yeah. It actually scratched part of his name on the ship.
All right.
But yeah, it does a bit of damage when it hits, and so I'm gonna get the 3. I've only had 1. I didn't have 2. I couldn't get 2 last raid or last bounty, whenever they come out. So I'm gonna go for the 3 flogs. I'm gonna get 2 adders and 2 dracs, and I think that'll be me done.
Yeah, I was going to check on that because I wasn't sure whether we could have 4 flogs or not. So that's good.
Yeah, I've taken 1, and it says I can take some more, so it's not owned yet.
You can take 4, right?
Okay. Yeah, I might look at doing that too.
It's just going to be kind of silly though when you can put all these limits get raised to 8, and you can just put pick each thing and put pick your poison which way you want to go, and then put the 8 best turrets of that particular school in there. That's gonna be, I don't know that I necessarily like that.
Right. I mean, I don't know if we're thinking this ahead.
Yeah.
What I like now though is I mean, I only just got my my basic hitting fleet almost done, a full fleet, but it's all going to change everything now with the new turret. So it's going to be interesting. Base hitting is going to be interesting, and base defense is going to get interesting too. So that's a good part. I like the PvP side of things. I'm not much of a PvE player and whatnot, but I like the PvP. I think it's a lot more exciting, and it's a lot more fun in it than just doing boring raids and bounties that you want to order. You don't even want to play them.
No, that's a good lead into my next thing that I've been thinking about a whole lot lately. Is anybody else scared to death of this upcoming bounty and seeing how many prizes get thrown into that thing and how many points we're going to end up needing in something that's already a grind fest?
And what targets you can hit. What PvE targets.
I think it'll be one I won't do. I mean, they dogged me out on the last ones I worked really hard on. And put the prize in the weekly. So, I don't have any really great expectation to even participate in something like that when they do that to me.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many unanswered questions about this upcoming bounty. You know, it's like, okay, I'm assuming we're going to get flooded with almost as many new PvP prizes as we did in the raid. So that means, and you're already having to get like usually what 130,000 points for all the new stuff in bounty. So unless they change the price structure, I can see it easily see it end up being like now you need 260,000. And you know, so we don't know what's going on. That worries me. They've not come out yet anywhere that I've seen and said, you know, okay, the level cap for, you know, like 100s not being able to hit 80s, is that also going to apply to your opponent bases on the map?
Yeah, that needs to be clarified, doesn't it? They only got 2 weeks to do that.
Yeah, I mean they've been asked that several times and they haven't answered. So either that worries me a lot, because that almost seems to me like, well, yes, that is going to be in place, and we just don't want to tell you that yet.
Yeah, they've certainly got a lot of balls in the air at the moment, so it's going to be interesting to see what lands and how it lands and where we go from there.
Okay, so really, I mean, this is my situation. I'm looking at, but yeah, you know, you're looking at a minimum of 12 hours playtime. In all honesty, to get the top stuff, in my guess, and then you're looking at you can't auto targets possibly. In my guess is that because they'll be level locked in 80 below, and those you can't auto because they have portals, and that doesn't work correctly. So then you're required to drive. Well, that took my bounty away. I mean, if you that I'm not doing that. I'm not driving in a map target that many. I'm just not. And then the next weekly they have them give the prize away. That I just did 12 hours of grinding, hitting players' bases. No.
Well, it's usually a month and a half before that happens, but yeah, I get what you're saying. So I don't know. It'll be interesting. It'll be interesting, but we're thinking kind of far out ahead. It's just definitely stuff I want to bring up because I know they go back and watch all the shows, so I definitely want them to know that we're really concerned about the upcoming bounty, and especially like if we don't get armors in the FMs, then wow, that's really going to make it a grind because you're not going to be able to get in a lot of bases that have these new turrets in them.
Yeah, the points needed to just keep on going up and up and up. So it's certainly not reducing any grind factor.
I mean, yeah, is it even? It's not even possible, or is it? I mean, is it possible to armor with current armors any hull except for the witch to take a shot from the adder strike?
With just armors, no. With if you use I guess it was the throwers, because don't the throwers add corrosive deflection?
Yeah.
Yeah, so like a Freet's actually, you know, all loaded down with throwers might be able to do it.
Well, you can see the Mort's fleet coming into actions there. You'll have one spotter and then try to splash the whole thing out.
Yeah, and just hope that your mortar ships aren't getting hit by death size.
Or I hope that nothing else hits your Ifrit, you know? I mean, because you'd only be armored for that.
Yeah, I mean it's gonna be interesting. Like I think instead of getting anywhere close, well, I don't know. It's like, are we getting closer to balance by things being so imbalanced though?
Yeah.
You're getting more options, which in turn, you know, brings out the best in the pirates, doesn't it? I guess. I'm sure someone will bring out a fleet that does well, and or you know, or do some fleet configuration that does well. That one does one thing, one does the other, and people that are skilled in driving and whatnot. You know, it won't take long. And I'm sure the kicks will bring out a special and an armor and whatnot that they've got to. Otherwise, it's just going to be a drive-through for a while until everything is adapted.
Because we love refits. Yay!
Yeah, right.
That's why we got 2 shipyards.
Nice.
Well, I need 3 shipyards. One to build my PvP stuff. One to build my current raid fleet or whatever, and then I need a 3rd regular shipyard just for all these refits that I have to do all the time.
Yeah.
I want my refit yard.
Either that, or they, cut the time needed to refit. There shouldn't be time to take it off. It should just be time to put it on. So, but that's an old story. So.
I wouldn't mind if a weapon was already built on that slot. If it took the time to take it off to put a new weapon on, that was it.
Yeah.
Well, you all know OP11's coming. You don't know what comes with it.
Don't say that.
Yeah, but
they probably don't know what comes with it either. So
a lot of heartache and tears.
All right, so I'm going to go down the line at this point, and when I call your name, you're going to pick a topic, and we're going to talk about it. RB.
You bastard. Well, I guess probably the first one is the what are we calling that show now? Is it the Ron and Chris show, or what are we calling it?
They call it BP Talk Live.
Okay, so that would be the one. Man, I think I'm going to stop watching the show and just read Misty's transcripts, because then I don't need to listen to the waffle. I can just read the actual text and get the nuggets of information out of. That's going to be the way to go. They're really still, coming up with these philosophical things. I want proper direction. Tell me what's happening. Tell us what's happening. Tell us what the plan is. I don't need to, have you two chatting amongst yourselves like you're in a meeting. It's always been very poorly presented in my mind, but that's just me. So yeah, I just want some proper direction. And I know there's a lot of shit going on, and I know they're trying to fix things, but let's just have some answers, please.
Well, and I mean, I know we kind of talked a little bit about this the other night. It was like, it seemed like the whole show was, yeah, we're having meetings about that. Yeah, we're having meetings about that. Yeah, we're having meetings about that. It's like, okay, you're having meetings to discuss having meetings. So when you go to the meeting about what you're doing, you can say, look at all these meetings that we're having.
Oh yeah. What did you do this week? Oh, I was flat out in meetings. It's the way to go. And also, if they're going to answer questions. Don't just cherry pick the easy ones and ignore. There are people spamming the same question over and over and over. However, they are valid questions that we need answers to. So don't just go, oh well, I'm going to pick some random little question that I see. So
well,
that's my bit on
good
that.
thing. Good thing to do there might be that they open up a little a chat box the day before, where they get all the questions that they want answered, and then they pick the top 10 or something, that the top 10 most asked questions, and then have their little spool, and at the end answer those questions on the show from the day before that they posted on Facebook or whatever. Yeah. That it make it a little bit more, rather than, oh yeah, this looks small to read, or not much to read, so we'll ask that one. Was there'll be, the comms is going at a fair rate at some time, so they miss all the good ones, and we don't get to hear the answers.
Yeah, that's true. And they, to be fair, I'm not going to criticize completely, but to be fair, they did say, that they'll, check on the forums, look at the conversations and discussions, but I'm lazy and I can't be asked. I want answers.
Well, and one thing that I've noticed this has been historically the way things have gone. They get so paralyzed by all these meetings that they're having that they never actually do anything.
Yeah.
It's like, it's they're afraid to pull any triggers. It seems like.
Yes. Yeah.
It's like, and we're at a point where, man, you talked about this shit for 6 years. Get off the shit or get off the pot, man. I mean, stop talking and start doing.
Yeah.
And I'm looking for something more significant than like, oh, you can manage your fleets on the map. Well, that's cool and all, but how does that help me with anything? And I would love to meet the person who said, well, being able to manage my fleet on the map helps with the grindiness of chores, so I don't have to go in and out of. I'm pretty sure that person doesn't exist. I'm pretty sure nobody's that. But the problem with the grindiness of the targets is the point requirements or the payouts being crap and all that kind of stuff. That like there's such a disconnect there that wasn't even funny.
Yeah, for sure.
It's like selectively, here's a bad issue, and on every bad issue, of course there's one part of it that's not terrible or good even, and so they just push that like that's the greatest thing in the world. When it's kind of cool, but it has no effect on this ship that's traveling 8 hours dead.
Yeah,
that's how I'm looking at it, and I understand these new features are cool. Totally great. They are cool, but that's a whole. To me, that should be a department that's still ongoing and still running. We need another department to fix the stuff that's being released that doesn't work. We need a whole other group. We need a whole department for that.
Well, I mean, let's be honest. If anything's in the game that doesn't work, or we have questions if it works or not, they need a whole other company.
Well, there's lots of recruitment going down here for the team in Australia, so if you're looking for a job, have a look there.
All right, Ross, topic, go.
Base hitting. I think that I'm concerned about base hitting moving forward. I was really at a point right before this thing where I was enjoying it. There was many bases that were challenging, very challenging, but still possible. In my opinion, this took away the base hitting, and it took away for not just me, but for the medium player for sure. It didn't take a whole lot to get one of these turrets in their base, and in my opinion, one turret could possibly change everything for the attacker, and make all the your base hitting gone. So, depending on when this armor comes out, I don't want to see all my other hulls rendered useless.
Definitely.
Yeah, I agree. Because with the way things are looking right now, somebody put if somebody puts a couple of these new turrets in, like MSCs probably are going to die. Onslaughts are probably going to die. Impact cruisers are probably going to die. You're looking at the Witch Doctor and the Ifrit will probably stand up pretty decently, but unless we get some new armors, the other three are probably obsolete at this point almost. And somebody may come out with some crazy shenanigans, and I'm like, okay, I'm totally wrong, but it's not looking very promising.
But that somebody isn't the common player, where all they're I'm just talking about the common player who's getting into base hitting from bounty, who got introduced into base hitting from the start of the bounty and now is going to be back out. And let's be honest, they're not going to coin a new fleet right off the bat anywhere. These are the people we're trying to introduce to base hitting.
I agree. Shane, what do you got?
Shoot, I don't know. I mean, the only thing as far as like that base hitting, I'd like to see better fleet to fleet operation. I mean, it's watching a fleet battle nowadays, from what I see, is like watching sub battles back then. I mean, it's like paintball fights. They can't hurt each other. Everybody's worried about the turrets doing damage on the ships. I'd like to see weapons doing more damage on ships to fight each other, as opposed to just going out there and who can, I mean, they just finish out the 5-minute battle and they're still going, That's one thing I'd like to see come back.
My only problem with that though is the way that the base guards are right now. If we like get to the point where fleet versus fleet is very healthy and shit's killing shit, blah blah blah, well then that just means that that's going to make base hitting even harder because people are going to put those same fleets in their guard and then drive them like crazy, and you're never going to be able to get into anything.
Yeah, well, I mean, I didn't say it'd be easy, but I'd like to see better in that. I mean, if they would make defense ships decent, maybe you wouldn't have to be putting Conqueror holes in your guard. And then it's the same thing. I mean, when the fleets go in there, they just drive by each other. I mean, the fleets don't do squat to each other. So
Yeah,
I was always a fleet to fleet guy. I wasn't ever a base hitter. So, you know, that's just my personal.
The entire problem right now with Tier 7 PvP is it was supposed to be designed to where your turrets would actually deal almost all the damage, and your base defense fleet was supposed to be there just to support it via countermeasures and effects and auras and all that shit. And boy, they dropped the ball on that almost as soon as it started.
Yeah. I mean, most of the defense holes they've come out with over the years, I mean, they're squat. I mean, all the way back, Justice, the Courage didn't last that long. You know, I mean, there's been a couple of good ones, like the Omni. You showed, I watched your Omni. It was damn good. Like the old Gamma was good. But those are countermeasure holes, not, you know. Back in the day, you could like have a countermeasure hole, put it right in your channel, and put you a Piranha depth charge on there, and yeah, go ahead and try to drive through that ship. It's not going to happen, you know. I mean,
I know myself what I would like to see, and I know it's not a very popular decision or a popular idea, and that's fine. I can deal with people considering my idea silly sometimes. I'm not going to get all butthurt about it.
What do you mean sometimes?
Well, right. No, I have really good ideas a lot. Just every now and then I'm silly. But like, I would actually like to see it go to the point where you can only use defender holes in your base to defend with. Thus the name Defender. But I will say before they get to that point, they need to get a lot more balance on the turrets. That my turrets actually do more than just scratch your paint when you're coming through.
Yeah, it sounds good.
Yeah, like I don't care what hull you're using. You should not be able to sit and get shot at by any turret for the entire 5 minutes and not take any damage whatsoever.
Yeah.
Period.
Yeah. That's certainly not balance.
There's plenty of videos out there from people who've been playing this for ages of old base hits back in the day when base hitting was fun and balanced and good. The people on the current team need to go back and watch those and see what it was all about back when everybody enjoyed it a lot. And it wasn't just the top 5% that throws down hundreds of dollars a month on the game that were having fun doing base hitting. So Toxic, you come up with a topic. While you do that, I'm going to go get my chicken.
Okay. I would like to the next raid cycle. Are we going to see a sub, or are we not going to see a sub? That's what I would like to know. And that's there's certain people like me that I can make subs out of anything, but I can't drive them. Or I can, but not very good. So I'm not a sub driver. I don't enjoy driving subs. And I was just wondering whether anybody's got any idea of what's going to happen next raid cycle. I know this has been extended by a month, by one extra. We got an extra cycle, an extra go in this cycle, so it's 5 instead of 4. But yeah, I just hope that my worst fears aren't going to come true, and we have another sub that we have to swim around in. And I was just wondering whether anyone had heard anything or knows anything or got any thoughts about that.
Oh, just by the name, it sounds like it's going to be a sub. Was it the Batwing or the Batray or something like that?
Like that, yeah.
I mean, it sounds like a sub, but I'm not sure.
I'm scared.
I haven't heard anything. I mean, to be honest, I love subs, but I do understand that a lot of people don't like them at all. So we have to see what they come out with. Surprise us.
Yeah.
You made us wait a month. You better be worth it.
If, for example, though, that this one is a surface ship, and then they come out with a sub as well, we're right back to the having to have two entirely different ships again, which we hated and despised.
Yeah, we hated it, but this skirmish cycle, that kind of is the one exception, isn't it? Because of how many people don't like the subs, and it's always been like a sub that was offered in that cycle.
Yeah, but you know damn well if we say, well, we're willing to accept it for the skirmish raid, then they're going to be like, oh, well, if you're willing to accept it for this cycle, we'll be willing to accept it for the other cycles.
Yeah, I mean,
that's how we always get in the messes that we're in. They do something and we let them get away with it, and then we're stuck with it all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just, and anyone who did the Fangtooth raid, oh Christ almighty. Anyway, as soon as I hear that name, I'd like to break my computer, you know what I mean? Then all these TLCs that were with these stupid subs, man, and yeah.
It did get a bit old at the end of it, but I'm like Shane, I don't mind subs, but it did get a bit carried away, you know. It's like when we were doing 100 garrison, you know, TLCs and raids and all the rest of it, it gets a bit old after a while. However, I think because of the name being the Bat Ray and because Wrong Thinkers come from War Commander, that it's going to be an airship and we're all going to get a surprise. So you've got to shoot it down out of the air now.
It's got a little man that throws bombs down, yeah.
It's 5 o'clock, Charlie.
Well, if it worked in another game, we may as well use it. Pick that low hanging fruit.
Yeah, it's hard. Like you know, I mean, this is just something that popped in my mind just right now, and that probably is a really bad idea. But if you had a choice of a hull that you could take, and both would be the same, but you can only have one, there'd be no, you know. They both work equally well in the raid and in the TLCs and in the chores after. So you could either pick either a surface ship or a submarine.
You're not asking for much there, are you?
No.
Well, I mean, wasn't it the Hunter that come out with the that sub? And I mean, weren't those two kind of comparable? I mean, I thought I ran both fleets, and I mean, of course, the deck fleet, I expected to do more damage, but I mean, the ships actually performed pretty well.
But the targets were entirely different. Like, the sub targets were tuned for the sub.
Oh, yeah, they weren't the same target. That's right. Yeah, I remember. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, and you were locked out. If you were, you know, if you'd chosen one over the other, you were locked out, and we had that whole problem that they couldn't get it happening, so...
But yeah, if both ships performed well in that single target equally.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because, I mean, I know I would try to pick the sub. And, of course, you would do the deck hull, you know.
Yeah, I'd rather, even if I have to pay a coin more to repair it. Yeah.
Don't say that.
I'll tell you, if we're going to be using subs again, for me, that's going to suck. Because I'm going to have to get all used to the fact that subs surface again.
That's another thing.
No, they don't. Don't say that.
Well, if you, that doesn't matter. But yeah, that was my little spool on it.
All right, everybody else got anything? Or are we going to call it there?
No, that's it. Pretty much. I mean, I'm just kind of hanging out. Yeah.
All right, we're calling it there then. Thanks everybody for tuning in, watching. appreciate you guys in chat. We try to interact with you and not just ignore you. Sometimes we're successful, sometimes we're not, but I think we're successful more than we're not. But anyway, give us a like, give us a thumbs up, share it with your friends, do all that fun stuff. And I'll put the link up if anybody wants to jump on for an after show. And we'll talk to you next time.
Laters.
Good luck with your